Welcome to Getting Sketchy Live, brought to you by thevirtualinstructor.com. And now, let's get sketchy.
Hello, everyone. Matt here with thevirtualinstructor.com, and welcome to Gettin Sketchy Live, the greatest live broadcast in all of YouTube. And here we are starting season 16. I hope everybody is doing fantastic this evening. And tonight we're going to be kicking things off with Ashley, who's sitting right over there. How are you doing this evening, Ashley?
Doing great, Matt. Thank you for asking. I'm glad to be back with you folks and to draw with you. So kicking it off.
Well, I'm excited to start this season, but I'm distracted by the fact that the chat box isn't updating.
I was noticing the same thing.
That's weird. So maybe it'll update in just a minute. I might close this down in just a minute and refresh it and see what's going on. But anyway, if you are watching the live version of this, of course, there's a chat box there on YouTube. You can post your comments and questions in there. And if you do have a comment or question that's directed at Ashley or I specifically, if you use the super chat function, we really appreciate it. That will cost a little bit of money for you, but it will get your comment predominantly displayed there in the chat box. Give us plenty of time to address that, and we'll play a little thing for you like we always do. Anyway, this season we're going to be picking our own subjects, and Ashley has picked a snowboarder tonight. We're going to be working with pastels, which is exciting. If you're new to the channel, if you haven't yet already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the like button if you like this video. And if you're watching the recorded version of this, make sure that you put some comments in the comment section below. Tell us what you think about the drawing or what you'd like to see this season, because it's still really up in the air. I've already picked out my image for next week, but there's flexibility on what we're going to be doing for the rest of the season. So if you have an idea of something that you'd like to see here in a 45-minute sketch, let us know. And if you're new to Gettin Sketchy, just to let you know what this is, either myself or Ashley, we try to create a drawing for you inside of 45 minutes. We have a timer that we will get started here in just a minute. And we're creating sketches here. So these are loose and quick. Finished drawings take a little bit more time, but we do our very best to try to create something that's finished for you in that short period of time. And if you haven't already checked out what we've got over there at the virtualinstructor.com, then boy, you're missing out. There are thousands of art instruction videos over there on every subject matter and medium you can imagine. We cover them all. And everything's included for members. We've got courses, classes, we do weekly live lessons. At the moment, we're doing 2 live streams a week for members on top of Gettin Sketchy. So there's also weekly critiques as part of the Members Minute and a year-long curriculum for visual arts teachers. All of that is included in the program. If you want to check out the program, you can click on that. You use that QR code on your screen. You can just scan that and it'll take you over there. Or you can look for the link in the description below. That'll do the same thing. And if you want to just check out 3 of our course videos and ebooks for free, you can do that as well. There's a link in the description below for that. That will put you on our mailing list. And I'll send you a ton of free art lessons as well as those free course videos and ebooks. So, you ready to go?
Yeah, I think so. We'll look at our materials and talk a little bit about why I picked this reference, and then we'll get into it. And that'll give you a chance while I'm going over my materials to collect yours.
All right, sounds like a plan. So we'll go ahead and switch over. And then I realized that I did not turn off the dehumidifiers in here. So I will do that as well. And hopefully I won't shock myself.
Yeah, it's been dry air around here. We've all been getting shocked today. So hopefully nothing will go down.
All right, we'll go ahead and switch over then.
All right, so we are starting out with a pastel this season, and that's a little unusual for me. Often the first drawing that I do in a season, we just work with pencils, kind of ease into drawing together in this shortened time frame after some weeks off. But, hey, I thought I would start by jumping directly into colors. So that's what we're going to do. And the first color is the color of our support, our paper. It is a light blue. It may look a little different on one feed to the other, depending on your screen, but it's a pretty light blue. And this is Canson Me-Tints paper. The Canson Me-Tints paper has 2 sides. They're both the front. Either one can be the front. And I've chosen to work on the smoother side. So there is a texture. You can still work with pastel. You can still build up layers, but not necessarily as many layers as you might on the other side. And because we were working in a shortened time frame, 45 minutes, we may build up as many as 3, probably 4 layers max in any one area. And that'll become more apparent as we get into these, these solid color clothes, the blue and the green. They're pretty solid, but we'll still need a couple of blues, a couple of greens, and maybe a harmonious color mixed in there as well. So maybe probably about 3 layers max, and I think the smoother surface will be fine for that. As far as the proportions of our support tonight, our reference is, I believe the reference is a 3-to-4 ratio, and so I doubled that, and so my paper is 6 inches wide by 8 inches tall, so 6 by 8. You could work bigger than that, and you might want to work bigger, but this type of size, something the size of a sketchbook or a little smaller, it's usually within the range that we work on here on Gettin Sketchy, just in the interest of time. So our figure is going to take up, most of the space. That's probably a little more than half from top to bottom. But in any case, 6 inches by 8 inches, or a 3-to-4 ratio. If you want to measure that out in centimeters, you can figure out what size you'd like to work. All right, let's take a look at my materials. So this is just the lid of a new pastel set, and you can see some new pastels here on the left. They're harder, narrower sticks of pastel. I don't have any soft pastels in here, which are a little bit sometimes lighter. They're bigger, and of course, as indicated by the name, softer. So we've got harder pastels tonight, both the new pastels and then some pastel pencils. And you can see there's a lot of harmony, of course, in the colors that we've selected right out of the reference. There's a lot of blues and greens and options that are in some cases pretty close together. And then a few warm colors. There's some pops of color in this reference, some orange and some yellow. And I also have a black. It's just a little chip of black because we don't need much, but we might need a little bit. Of course, the helmet's black. There's also a gray. And we may use a little bit of black under some colors. So I've got a plan tonight. We'll see if this plan comes together. But my intention, once we get our drawing in place, is to start with the darker versions of our colors and then layer lighter and lighter versions on top of that until we achieve a full range of value. Let's talk a little bit about the reference. Incidentally, I do have a blending stump. I don't know if I'll need it. I might just use my fingers. And I have an electric eraser that I may not need, and then also just a regular black Factus eraser, so just a rubber eraser. That one we'll be using. We are going to start with a pencil, and we're going to make a kind of a gesture drawing, just to try to capture the angle at which these limbs are moving through space, and then we'll work around that gesture to create the shape of our snowboarder, and then to start move on to pastels. We'll lighten our drawing and move on to pastels. So the figure is pretty dynamic. One of the longest limb appears to be the arm. It's going to land in about this area, and then the snowboarder's right arm is really foreshortened. So the right arm and the left arm are actually in line with each other almost perfectly, but one is like a third the size of the other just because of the foreshortening. So thank goodness that arm has some light on it. And the form is pretty clear. The light's coming from the left, and hopefully the light will help us understand the foreshortened arm, the one that is coming straight out at us. The legs are pretty straightforward. We're at a profile to the legs. Maybe there's a little bit of foreshortening there. So like I said, we'll start out with a gesture, just trying to capture the angle of the arm, the angle of the body, that kind of thing, and then move on. Now, in the reference, the background is mostly just sort of a cloudy sky. There is a fence in there. And what to do about the fence? I'm a little on the fence. So on the one hand, in the photograph, it's clear that the fence is small and far away. But that's partly because it's out of focus and our snowboarder is pretty sharp. In a pastel drawing, sometimes everything feels a little bit out of focus. Just the soft edges are sometimes incidental. So I'm afraid that if I draw the fence in and I don't have, time to really work the edges of the snowboarder and the fence, it could look like our snowboarder is jumping over a little tiny fence. And that wouldn't feel like much of a trick.
I think I could see that happening.
Yeah, I can almost imagine it just looking at the photograph.
It kind of looks like it right now. Just looking at the photo.
Right, he's jumping over a really tiny fence for those little horses. You know the ones. I don't know what they're like. They're like the ponies.
Miniature horses.
Right, they're the size of dogs. So in any case, we'll probably leave the fence out. And I might indicate with a little harder or sharper line that there is a ground plane down here. Or we'll just let it be in the air because that's what makes snowboarding so great. If you're good at it, I'm not. You spend a lot of time in the air. I spend a lot of time on my back and trying to stand up again. But I have snowboarded some. I'm not a winter sport guy, but I did choose this reference because of the Olympics. All the winter sports that some of us have been watching, some more than others. I thought, even though the Olympics is over, I'm going to bring a little bit of that into the first episode of Getting Sketchy. So like Matt mentioned before, we're choosing our own references this season. So there's not really a theme that we're trying to work inside of. But if I can pick a reference that feels current, like a current event, I like to do that. So at least for this first week, I chose a snowboarder. All right. I guess we're about ready to get started, man. I talked about, we're a little out of practice. It's been a few weeks. I talked about materials, talked about our support, and a little bit about a little analysis of our reference. Are there any questions to address before we
There's just
start
emojis in the chat box.
Oh, I see that.
I don't know what's going on tonight.
Love
Normally
hands.
there are a ton of people making comments from where they are or from all over the world and saying hello. And tonight it is just all emojis so far. We've got a heart and a hand.
One of them is a snowboarder.
We've got a snowman and praying hands. We've got a art palette, and then we have a snowboarder.
Mm-hmm. It's very on the nose. It's the snowboarder.
I'm not sure what to make of some of those.
Is that Jan? I think he makes these emojis quickly in Photoshop because they're always exactly right. Exactly. He's making his own emojis in real time. So,
all right. Were you ready to start the timer then?
So it's time to, it's been a while since I've drawn under the gun. So, but let's go ahead and start the timer and start laying down some angles.
All right, here we go. 45 minutes on the clock.
All right, here we go. So somewhere in this area is our head. I made some marks to find the middle. So the head is, of course, in the top of the top half. So I'm just going to start with a line pretty diagonal, maybe a little bit curved. And check that against the reference. I'm just imagining the angle of the spine, and that looks about right. And let's see, this hip that's closest to us, that's what the circle is. It's a hip. That's going to be where, where the top meets the bottom, right? Where the green meets the blue. So we're going to shoot across, maybe slightly downhill towards the right for the top of the right leg. And then kick back about right there. And, there may be more leg or more foot, but we can't see it. And then, of course, there's another leg that's going to come out from the shin. And, it's pretty parallel. So we'll stick with parallel for that other leg right now. Okay, and then if our head is going to be in this general area, let's see, I'd say our shoulder joint is about, if this is halfway, the shoulder looks like it's about a quarter of the way down our page or so. And we're going to just lay an angle in, and then I'll check it with my pencil. So
I just want to point out to everyone that Ashley's drawing a stick figure, pretty much.
That's right.
And that is an excellent way to start a figure drawing. It really is. It allows you to get the positioning of the bone structure in place for the figure.
Yeah, if you can draw a stick figure, you're well on your way. Yep. So think of them as bones, but it's mostly just sort of an internal gesture. And then now we'll start to work our shape around that and see how everything lands. So we'll slow down a little bit and figure out if some of these marks are through the middle of a limb, like the arm, or if this line would work for the top or bottom of that limb. So there's an interesting relationship between this leg and this arm. So I'm actually going to jump into that early, I think, and see if we can draw a little bit of the leg, the body, and the arm together and go ahead and find a relationship between these parts. So I'm thinking of this as an empty or negative space. It's part of all three of those components. So this would be the top of the leg, little piece of the torso, and there's like maybe like a black strap there, and then the underside of the extended arm. And there's a bumpy little surfaces to the jacket, but I can try to capture that with a pencil, but we're going to lose it anyway and then have to rediscover it in the pastel. So we'll see if that works for the thickness of these parts.
All right. Since I know that there have got to be tons of comments coming through, I decided to open up the old phone and do a search here on the intranet. And I found this Reddit feed that is live right now. People are talking about how YouTube has some kind of issue going on where only emojis or strings of text are coming through. And so other people are having the same problem. And
I was getting a little nervous.
I know. I was like, what is going on?
We're just in the abyss.
There's plenty of people watching the live stream, so I don't understand why it's going on. But people are saying it is broken right now. So there is something going on with YouTube. So if you're trying to chat right now, and then someone's saying English only is blocked. So it's strange here.
It is.
Anyway, if you are trying to post right now in the live feed chat box, well, I think you're just limited to like little strings of text.
So it's like hieroglyphics tonight.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
We're getting tons of emojis. I enjoy watching these emojis pop up. They're fantastic. Lots of hearts, lots of clapping hands.
Oh, I hate
some roses on there.
I hate we're missing comments and questions.
Yeah, no, this kind of stinks there, guys. But it's something out of our control there with YouTube. Oh, people are putting Spanish in and it's working.
How about that?
Hola. Muchachos.
Yeah, so it is an English problem.
It is an English problem.
Well, I've been having a
Very
problem with English my whole life.
strange.
So, all right, I'm starting to find the board. Trying to find the board a little bit. It's a irregular shape, and then it's at it too is at a foreshortened angle. Feeling pretty good about where the body's landing. It's you might call this a figure drawing, but there's a lot of clothes in here. We don't have to worry about the shape of arms and legs because they're so covered up by the by the clothing. So
now listen, guys, they're putting everything in another language, and I am not going to even try to pronounce this.
Kannst du das hier lesen? Matt, can you read this here? Yes.
Okay, so you understand that.
I can read some of the German.
That's German.
Ich habe ein Berliner.
No me gusta means I do not like this. Me gusta bueno. Ah. And then Catherine put, I wonder if this counts as a string of text. And it worked. It did work. So there's a hack. Just don't put spaces in your English. And then you can comment.
So write like Latin.
And I can address it.
Yeah, write like Latin. No spaces.
There's some Arabic up there.
This is hard.
I knew something was up, guys.
I'm glad you looked that up.
I'm glad I did too. I was thinking, oh my gosh, people just have emojis working tonight. And that's kind of what's going on. That is a strange error. A very strange error.
It's
Indeed.
like sabotage. Somebody at the YouTube factory is sabotaging our stream here.
So Lisa puts, okay, so don't use space bars, all in one word. And that works, apparently.
Okay.
Yes.
This group is so resourceful.
They're so creative.
They figured out how to work around it. All right. So we've got a one-armed snowboarder. We're going to need to get that other arm in there soon, the one that's coming out at us. But
that's a really nice initial
seem to be
shape there. Yeah.
Pretty well.
Yeah. I like the positioning of the shoulder against the head there.
Yeah.
And then the angle of the pants.
I think it was a good call to start with this weird little shape right here, that empty space. So, and sometimes I've been looking at my reference today. Sometimes I make a little initial practice drawing, but I didn't for this one. I just thought, you know what? It's a sketchy show. We're going to wing it.
And I do the same thing sometimes, but I find that if sometimes if I make that initial sketch, I'm a little stiffer with the second one.
I totally agree. I try to capture magic in a bottle and then repeat it. and that doesn't always work out. All right, we've got a super tight corner down here. It's we know it's a rounded snowboard, but there's a very acute little angle or little corner there. So we got to forget that we know it's round and make a pretty pointy corner. All right, maybe my board may be a little fat.
Edie is buried in the snow in New York City.
I've seen some crazy pictures out of Rhode Island. I guess it's the same similar in New York. I mean,
I saw a snowball fight in New York. Did you see that snowball fight?
Did it include policemen?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
I don't know if that was a fair fight.
I don't know if both sides were actually in the snowball fight.
I did see that.
One side was just trying to get away. Whoop! Oh my gosh, man! I threw
the eraser at me.
All right, I got it. It's back. It's back. All right.
It's lucky it didn't fall into the abyss over there.
So for this foreshortened arm, I'm going to draw the hand first, and then just work the arm in behind that. I think that's probably the way to go. So the hand is straight down from like from maybe this strap that's on our helmet. So I'm going to come straight down, and the back of the hand is above this shoulder. So straight down, but staying above the shoulder. This looks like a pretty good spot. And the hand at this angle is just like this, kind of like this oval with a thumb.
Well, it's also in extreme foreshortened position there.
One issue with it is the two-tone gloves. It makes it a little more harder. The tip of the fingers is black, and the bottom of the hand is black. So we may handle it as though the fingers are all that yellow ochre color. All right, but let's see. I think that's about where it's at. I've got a little gap here. Maybe the jacket comes out a little farther. I don't want to spend too much time refining the proportions if things are falling about where they belong. We'll cut that palm down a little bit. What would be the palm? Okay, and then the arm behind the hand is, of course, very short. And really, at the top of the arm, we don't really see it at all. We just see some wrinkles from the shoulder that bend down into it, something like that. Now, we're going to lose some of this drawing when we switch to pastel. That's okay. Let's see. And then probably there's our orange shape somewhere in there. Okay. Gosh, he does need another hand. I forgot something. The other hand. And again, the fingers are all together, so it's really just a solid shape for starters. There we go. Don't have to worry about fingers just yet. Just a shape. Okay, and I guess we've got a little bit of a boot. The toes of a boot.
All right.
And that's about it.
I've got a Spanish comment here.
Okay.
And I don't know what it is. Quizás Matt podría usar el traductor de Google?
Is it a translator?
I'm assuming that says can Matt use the Google translator?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
You're just making that up.
I'm making it up. The letters are similar. I could, but I can't copy and paste your comments right now. So yeah, this issue is still going on. There's a comment here on this thread that's 1 minute old, and something fishy going on there. Something fishy going on at YouTube tonight. So sorry about that, guys.
I think we're going to go with this as our drawing because we do have 32 minutes left, and I feel the pressure. Feeling the pressure. So there's probably some small irregularities in the proportions, but feels generally like things in the right place. And then if we recognize, any proportional mistakes that's going to make a difference, because, nobody sees the reference but you and me, then we can try to make those changes in the pastel. So we'll go ahead and take our eraser and start to lighten our drawing a little bit. One nice thing about, I am drawing with an ebony pencil, so it's plenty dark, probably darker than it needs to be, but we are working on toned paper, so I thought I'd use a darker pencil. And so we'll remove the excess graphite, not press down too hard. And then, of course, the pastel does a good job covering the graphite, as long as it's not loose. It doesn't really mix in too much with our pastel colors. There we go. So it's fading away a little bit, fading away. All right. Okay. So the plan, getting back to the plan, we're going to cover some of these parts, particularly the clothing, with a dark color, or maybe even a dark color with a touch of black mixed in, and then start working over it with a lighter color, and then a lighter color still for where the light is riding along the left edge of our snowboarder. So here goes. We'll start with the green. And I've got a couple of choices for my initial application. I got a couple of dark greens, and let's see.
All right, so Lord Engine has found another hack.
Okay.
And they put maybe it worked spelled badly. And it is working. So if you spell really poorly, but do it phonetically, then I will be able to see and read your comment.
So if they were to write, but maybe leave the vowels out, just with the consonants.
You have to get real creative with your comments there. Yeah.
Well, you've got the harder job tonight.
I didn't expect this to happen here.
Definitely got the harder job. All right, so this is going to be our arm. And just so I don't totally lose the arm, I might put a light mark along its bottom, just so that we don't totally lose it.
I love it.
There we go. Just so we don't lose. So just marking our place. And I'm going to keep filling in basically just blocking in a solid color right now. So we started with lines. It was I would say a stick man. And then we created some shapes. And now we're filling those shapes in. And then when we introduce a second and a third value into each of our parts, that will hopefully change our shapes into forms, which is what we're ultimately after.
That blue's really having an effect on that green, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
The blue of the paper.
The undercolor, yeah.
Lord Engine puts illiteracy is the solution. And it is spelled
the solution.
Perfect. Now I don't know if people are putting things in another language or if they are trying to misspell them.
Exciting. Oh, it's a squeaky pencil.
That is squeaky.
Okay, so we've got our jacket covered. Pencil. And I'm actually going to take a little bit of black just to make it even darker. The color that we're putting down now, my intention is for it to only remain in the wrinkles, those dark wrinkly shadows. So we're going to kind of carve away at the shadows with the lighter colors. And we'll see if it works. So I'm just kind of, with a lighter pressure, lighter touch, just kind of mix that in. So it's a dark, dull green that can become our shadow colors. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing with the pants. Boy, that is dark. It looks really dark on the feet over here. And so, again, because I don't want to totally lose my drawing, I'm going to put just a little light mark. This is just a placeholder for where the two legs meet here, because they're going to get the same initial color. And we have two legs, so I want to keep it that way.
Karina puts, "We should draw more stick figures." I love it. We got a hello from Iran. Or a dog face, LOL, Valerie says, as one word. Janet says, Hola, form New Hampshire. I love it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, this is great. What a mess that we've turned into a fun little game here in the chat box.
It's all phonetics, right? All phonetics now. We're hooked on phonics.
I'm just trying to figure out why Google is obviously blocking English,
like spelled right,
but not any right,
not other languages,
that is
and not letters,
strange.
just English.
Right. I wonder if AI is taking over already.
It's like an 80s movie after all. Us versus the machines. Okay, so I'm glad I didn't spend too much time drawing wrinkles and details because they're gone.
Okay.
And you can see our little light marks that's just there to help us not lose our place in the clothing.
This might be a question. I'm going to have to read it to find out.
Okay.
DJ says, Ashley, we can't see Toop if draw. Top.
Is that top?
I don't know.
I don't know. It must be.
You're going to have to be more creative with that.
Not more specific, but just have a hard time with the hieroglyphics.
Janet says, love it for first sketching.
Yeah, so flat shapes, they're very flat shapes right now. And I think we're doing great on time. We've got 25 minutes. And so if we can get this guy covered in the next couple of minutes, then we can start revisiting each part and trying to make forms out of the shapes.
Yeah, you already have a lot of color on the paper and you still have plenty of time.
Yeah, mostly it's just like our first layer. We're just getting our first layer down.
Lisa says, it's a hacker, I betcha.
Could be. That's a good theory.
Yeah, but what a strange thing to hack.
Yeah.
What a strange thing to do.
You know, it's mayhem, right?
Yeah.
That's what hacking's about sometimes.
I have a feeling.
Did you see, is it called Mr. Robot? It's a movie about some hackers. Mr. Robot.
I don't think I saw Mr. Robot.
It's got Christian Slater in it. It's pretty new.
No.
It's good.
Okay, Catherine asked, why pick blue paper?
Oh, okay, good.
Hey,
okay,
listen,
that's a great question.
Yeah.
And I'll answer that. I'm thinking in terms of harmony and variety. And for this drawing, I'm leaning towards harmony. So I've got, because the drawing already has colors that go together. It has blue pants, and green is a color made with blue. And where we can see a little sky back here, I plan to use a little bit of purple, which has blue in it. So since everything has blue in it, except for, of course, this orange that's jumping off the page right now.
But orange is the complement of blue.
That's right. It's the complement of blue. So everything's relating back to blue. And so I went with the blue paper just for total harmony. We could have gone the other way. I could have picked brown paper or yellow paper, but I just decided to stick with the idea of more harmony and less variety in the colors. And that's not necessarily correct. It's just the choice that I made. But usually one has to dominate. You're either kind of going after shocking variety or harmony to hold everything together. That was my reasoning in any case.
Okay. Well, good answer. Let's see. Lord Engine says, Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. I love that. Karina says, I can't find any information about YouTube having problems on the internet. That was really well done, Karina. That was very easy to read. What I searched for to find these issues is YouTube live chat only showing emojis. And when I searched that, the top result is a Reddit thread that started 3 hours ago and is still active. So this is for those of you watching the recorded version of this, the live chat is not letting English comments through. It is letting everything else through except for comments made in English. So the people in the chat box are purposely misspelling words to get through, and it's working, or using another language, and it's working. Stella says, "What have I missed?" That's very creative too. I love this. Well, I think you're probably seeing what you've missed so far. I actually laid out the figure with a quick gesture using some straightish lines with a graphite pencil, and then drew the contours of the subject. And now he's adding pastel here on the blue Canson Mitance pastel paper.
Yeah, just about got our base layers in. And, you know, the drawing has some small parts, which can be a little bit tedious sometimes with pastels, but the new pastels help with that, since they have got corners, nice sharp little corners, and they're smaller than some of the other sticks, the soft pastel sticks. So for the goggles, I'm going to start out with just this light cerulean blue, and then we can work other colors into here, and one of the arms is reflecting in the goggles, but I'm going to go ahead and work like it's a background to foreground in the goggles. So we're starting with our sky color. There we go.
Wonder if those are Walter Goggins goggles. Have you seen that commercial?
No?
No, gosh. You watch sumo wrestling, but you have not seen the Walter Goggins goggles commercial.
Does it come on during sumo?
Well, it's probably not.
Then I'm probably not going to get
It's really a commercial for a company that makes websites. I can't remember the name of the company. And I'm not even sure it's a real product, but it is.
I see. There we go. Okay.
Now, you're using the smoother side of the paper?
Yes.
Looks like, right?
Yeah.
This paper has two distinct surfaces. The front side has a pretty heavy tooth, and the back side still has ample tooth to hold pastel, but it's not as pronounced.
No, I've made the mistake
backside
of using the heavier side for small drawings like this, and the tooth was just too much for any type of smaller detail at this size. So be cautious of that. For those of you that are, when you're choosing between the two sides, I love the rougher side. Personally, I prefer it, but the drawing for me just needs to be bigger than this to use it.
Splatter Jedi says Winter Olympic appropriate episode. Very good.
Yeah.
Susan says favorite medium? ? So I guess she's asking us what our favorite medium is. What's your favorite medium?
Gosh, lately it's been like gouache paint.
Oh yeah.
You know, I've really gotten into that, using it more want to use more of it in the classroom too.
Yeah.
I always liked painting medium, so for a long time I preferred things like oil paint. And then you know, it's hard to say. I mean, Matt and I both work in all media.
Right.
And it's partly because we have a hard time choosing. So I guess the best I can ever answer that is, what's my favorite medium right now? And right now, and I don't know how Matt feels about this, but I'm starting to get back into pen and ink.
Oh yeah.
I'm starting to have a pen and ink phase. And I know he's been working hard in pen and ink.
Pen and ink's not my favorite medium right now.
So right now it's probably not.
Yeah, for me, it's very difficult to choose because my favorite medium changes pretty often. And usually it's, you know, I'll work in a medium and then I'll take a break from it for a little while and then go into a different medium and then take a break from it for a little while. But I really love pastels. I love colored pencils. I love pen and ink and watercolor. I love charcoal. I know you're telling me to pick a medium, and I'm not doing a very good job at doing that. And that's just because I really like all the
This
mediums.
is a hard question.
And I've told you guys this before. I don't know if I said it here on YouTube or as part with the members, but I had a professor in college. My major was in illustration, and I had my illustration professor, the main guy, said that I needed to pick one medium and one style and stick with it, or I would never make it in the world.
You won't make it with that attitude.
And I didn't agree with him, and I'm really glad I didn't agree with him. And I continue to explore all the different mediums. I really like acrylic paint. I love painting. I like gouache, like Ashley says. I think that when it comes to drawing and painting, you learn the core concepts to understanding how we see as an artist. And then beyond that, it is learning the characteristics of each one of the mediums. And the reason why all the mediums exist and continue to move on is because people find joy in creating with those mediums. So if you can learn the medium after you've learned the technical aspects of being an artist, then you really have the freedom to work in any medium that you wish. You just have to, perfect the skill of each actual medium, which is not as difficult as learning how to see and how to translate what you see as an artist.
Learning those elements and principles,
right?
How they go together.
Yep. But the reason why pen and ink is not my favorite right now, and that is, I shouldn't say that because I still really enjoy working with pen and ink. But for the members at the virtualinstructor.com, we have been, one of our live series right now is we are doing a very highly complex drawing of a church that's surrounded by various types of very highly detailed trees and things. And I've, before the show, I was telling Ashley, I don't know how many hours I've spent on this drawing. It's somewhere between 25 and 30 hours, I would estimate.
Yeah.
And I've only covered half the paper. So we're continuing to work on that after this live broadcast. That's the next show that we'll be doing for the members directly after this. And it is a very tedious project, but I really love the way it's turning out. And I'm excited to be finished with it. And it is enjoyable to work on it. It's just a lot of work. That's all. So that's why I'm ready to move on from pen and ink.
It's a lot of little strokes.
But I'm also really excited to have this drawing finished.
All right, so we're putting smaller shapes now in our bigger shapes. So you can see I'm working with the medium. If you think about the base color of the jacket as a dark green, then I've got a lighter and a medium green, and I'm going to put a little bit of a blue green in here also. We're especially in the arm area. We're going to get to that. But right now, we're creating wrinkles and folds, a little hinting at them, by letting the darker color remain exposed in small amounts.
HG7242 asks, what brand of pastel are you using?
So right now I'm using New Pastels, NU Pastel, and I would show you the lid, but my pastels are in the back of the lid right now. But they're fantastic. They're kind of a unique pastel medium. Are there any clones out there, Matt? Are there any New Pastel clones?
I'm sure there probably is, but I haven't seen them. If I'm going to purchase hard pastels, I'm going to buy New Pastels.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to let this medium valued pastel run along the bottom edge of this arm irregularly, because the light is hitting the snow and bouncing back up into that arm. So even though the light's coming from above on the back of our snowboarder, it's actually a little bit of it is coming back into the bottom of the extended arm, more so than the top, I think, a little bit more. And of course, I'll still use this medium valued pastel in the arm, but not as strongly. So a little bit more broken color through the middle.
Karina says the current project is so great. Thank you, Karina. I see that comment. Appreciate it. And Jan has found another hack. He says Reddit said adding these characters make English work. True, and it appears to work, but I can't tell what those characters are. It looks like a cross and a little tiny C or something.
That is Japanese.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah. All right. So
You know, remember I took 1 year of Japanese in college, so I can't remember how those characters sound, but I recognize them.
So using some Japanese characters seems to work. What in the world?
Are we dreaming right now?
Okay, it might be
weird as a
fixed,
dream.
guys, because GB Weinstein just put, and my answer shows that English works fine. So there you go. Okay, and they also said that Create a Color makes a set of hard pastels that's very similar to new pastels.
There you go. So there may be a clone out there.
I knew there had to be with all of the art products that you can buy online now. Even if you go to Amazon, a lot of the stuff I order, I just order from Amazon. And you search for a specific brand, what shows up first in the search results on Amazon is usually a knockoff
right, the
product.
clones.
Yeah.
And new pastels are too good not to be cloned or copied. You know, they're too unique, I guess.
It looks like the comment box is back on.
All right.
Everybody can talk normally now. But boy, that was fun for a little while, wasn't it? I really enjoyed trying to decipher what you guys were putting there. That was a fun little exercise.
Exciting.
And also a creative way to do that there.
There we go. All right, so, you know, there's a rule in pastel that you start with harder pastels, like new pastels. And then you switch to softer pastels as your layers build up. And it's a good rule, but I'm not necessarily doing that. And these pencils that I'm using, they're also kind of hard. So in some cases, they're working over the base layer, and they're also kind of mixing with it some. So we're not going to use any of the softer pastels. Let's see. Is that the blue that I started with? I think it is. Okay. They're all starting to look the same to me. What are we doing on top? 10 minutes? Okay. We will work around our snowboarder pretty soon. I'm going to get some white and some purple in there. Some straighter lines in there. There's a lot of tension in the clothes. Exaggerate the light down here, bouncing up out of the snow a little bit. Gotta remember this dude has feet. Good. Squiggle those shapes in. Just looking for a gray, and it's in my other hand. So.
Let's see. Valerie says, "Are you drawing flat on the table or at an angle tonight?"
It is at an angle. Good question.
Is one easier than the other with soft pastels and the dust issue?
It's not at an extreme angle. You know, I do like to use pastels straight up and down. Straight up and down would be like this. So if you can see, my hand is pretty different from the surface. I'd say the surface we're on, what's this, like a 20-degree angle or so. So it doesn't feel very different, I would say, is what I'm getting to, than on a flat surface. But it helps a little bit with the distortion issue. Sometimes when we're trying to keep our head back, so you see less of it, and the artwork is flat, sometimes we'll accidentally, or at least I will accidentally draw it stretched out, especially at the top half, you know, near the top of the drawing. So not too different. But if you do work on a surface that is vertical, the dust just falls straight down into like a chalk tray. which is kind of nice. A little bit of blue around that orange just to soften it some. They'll mix together to make a neutral. If they mix. There we go. We do have, gosh, all of a sudden 7 minutes. This doesn't seem like it's going to be enough time. Get the reflection of our arm in here. And thought I had, there it is. And when I can't find a pastel, it's in my other hand. There we go. Reflection of an arm in the goggles. All right, now I do have I want to put some little black accents in here as I go. I'm going to go ahead and find a few of them before we get too far, too close to time is up. Of course, underneath the cuff, it's really dark.
You still have plenty of time. And even if you run out of time there, you can always grab a few extra minutes.
That's true.
Karina says, this is a great start into a brand new season. How would you call the color scheme?
Analogous. It's dominated by blue and green and yellow green. And so those are all related to blue. So even though there's pops of other colors like the orange on the back, the backpack, I guess it is, it's dominated by analogous colors. And in the background, we're going to work over it some, but a lot of it will be exposed. And so I would call it, it's still going to have a lot of blue in there. So colors that are next to each other, or at least share a color between them on the color wheel, are analogous colors. So that's the color scheme that I'm working with. All right, so now I've got this blue-green, kind of an aqua color. That's the one that I wanted to save and put in a little bit where the light's hitting in the jacket. It's not really in the jacket so much, or we could use some white in there, but I think this is a little better.
Yeah, that blue's working really well.
Because it is actually still a color and not just a neutral like white. All right. 4 minutes on the clock. I'm going to add a little bit of, make a slightly darker gray in the middle of our board. So it feels like there's a contour, like it's bowed a little bit. Just have one little gap here in our parts.
All right, so a little update with the comments. It looks like YouTube's gone back to its blocking English
Back to its glorious self.
Yeah, people are having problems again. What a weird thing there.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Harley Elliott says, looking really good, Ashley. Great job.
Thank you. Thank you so much. A little bit of a stronger blue in there. I haven't used the stump much. We haven't really done a whole lot of softening. We're letting the edges stay pretty distinct on our marks. Let's see, where did my black go? All right, so just a few little pieces of lines in here where we have preserved wrinkles with our base color. Maybe pump them up some and pull a couple places.
All right. PJ Hall has given us a super chat. Thank you so much for that, PJ. We appreciate it. There's no comment there, though. If you could somehow somehow figure out how to make a comment there or a question.
Yeah, we'd love to read your
Yeah.
comment.
All right, here comes the magic now.
Now, here comes some of the white.
Here comes the magic.
Gonna work around the contours.
The snowboarder is going to pop when the white is put in.
Just carving it out.
Now, I think it looks pretty cool leaving it, unblended.
Yeah, with that soft texture still showing.
Yeah.
The little bit of texture that there is on this side, not too strong. Like little chunks of snow in the air.
Yeah, that's what it's reading like. Jay Blakes says, "Wow." Lord Engine says, "Looking good." And we got another super chat from R. Lee Elliott. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, super chat. Alone World Caps. Who is that? Mary Elizabeth says fence ? But I think you might have missed that. We Ashley decided not to include the fence in this because it would translate as a miniature fence and the snowboarder jumping over the miniature fence, and it would look strange. So this is an example of something that works in a photograph, but would not work as a rendered drawing or painting. So it even kind of, when you look at it, even the photograph, it kind of looks like he's maybe looking at jumping over a miniature fence, just the way that the
maybe if
photo
it was at
taken.
more of an angle than it is, it would be less likely to translate that way. But you can still see it. You can imagine it like that right in the photo. So it definitely would be ambiguous in the drawing.
All right, Bear in the Garden asked, do new pastels fill up the tooth fast, like the tooth of the paper fast, like very soft pastels do?
I guess at a lower rate because they are harder, but they still fill it up pretty good. I mean, they're harder pastels, but it's still a soft medium, still pastel. Just
right.
They're harder than the soft pastels. So it's when we call them hard, it's not like working with color pencil stick or something like that.
And we have another super chat.
And that's
this time from Jan, and he says, yes, still not fixed. Grand Kunst. Now, or Kunst. Do you know what that word is?
Let's see. Art. Yeah, good art.
Okay,
Thank you.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, our job. I'm a Kunstlehrer, right? Art teacher, Kunstlehrer.
Valerie says, I struggle with foreshortening.
All right.
This really helped. Looks great.
Let's
Love soft
see.
pastels.
I know the time is up. Purple pastel. It disappeared. Oh, good. Ooh. There we go. Oops, sorry, Matt. I just put a mark on your board.
Oh, well,
I'll wipe it off.
I think there's probably already lots of marks on it.
I was trying to flatten out the edge of my pastel stick. Of course, all this has been done with the side of the pastel. But I just wanted to get a little bit of purple in the background.
Margaret thinks you should put your own logo on the board. What is the Ashley logo? Is it a sumo wrestler?
Some sumo wrestlers, they have these beautiful, like sort of ceremonial clothes they wear that have anime characters on them and stuff. Pretty crazy nowadays. Okay, so it got a little bit of purple in there. It's very weak, and that's fine. But it adds, I think, just another just adding another hue in there. And then so we've got blue pants, got a purple jacket, and a green jacket, and which has blue in it. And then there's a little bit of purple, which is the color on the other side of blue. So it's still an analogous color scheme, but it's a really broad analogous color scheme, because we're really talking about the cool side of the color wheel, going from yellow, green, all the way around to a little bit of purple. So you could make the argument that it is a cool color scheme. What do you think, Matt? How would you classify it?
Coolish, because that green's pretty warm.
Yeah, there's yellow green in there for sure.
Yeah. Every piece that you create doesn't have to have a specific color scheme.
It doesn't have to be nameable.
No, it definitely doesn't have to be nameable. But this is
it does in my classroom.
Just kidding. This is a limited palette, so you're not using every color that's available to you. So it still feels harmonious, especially on the blue paper. But if you look at the specific locations of the colors on the color wheel, if you pushed the blue to a little bit more of a blue purple, and you push the green a little bit more to a blue green, then you'd have a split complementary color scheme, because you've got the orange on there too. Yeah. So, you've got there's the opportunity to push these colors just a little bit further towards a neighboring color, and you would have a named color scheme. But it's working right now because the blue and the green, the green in your drawing is definitely cooler than the green in the reference.
Oh yeah.
And the pants do have a little, they're leaning a little bit towards purple, not the highlights, but the purple, the blue in the pants. So
that base color in
you're getting close to a split complementary color scheme. So it's still a limited palette, but again, you don't have to have a named color scheme in order for a piece to be successful.
All right. Well, I think we're going to call this one.
All right. Very good.
What time is it? Yep. Guess it's time, because we're 2 minutes over. So I'm going to stop working whether I'd like to or not. And, I'd really like to just sit with it and look at it and then touch it every few minutes for the next half an hour. And maybe on another day, but not today, because we've got another show to prepare for, don't we, Matt?
That's right. That is right. I need to get my mold hand ready to work here. And we, my wife and I babysit a tiny dog for my oldest daughter. And this dog just scratched my hand today.
There's really no reason to pull tape off, because I barely made it to the edge of the picture plane. Yeah. So we're just going to leave it like that. It's a nice frame. Mm-hmm. It's a nice beige frame. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Jen says, looks amazing. Beer in the garden. Oh, never mind. All right. Yeah. I guess that's it there. Guys, I can't believe the comments were so wacky tonight.
It was such a weird show.
It was a weird show. It's been a weird day. And during this broadcast, actually, my wife has been texting me. She is out with my two youngest kids. My son is at baseball practice, and my daughter had a thing that she had to be at. And apparently, my daughter opened the door and gashed somebody's car next to them.
Oh,
so
no.
I have been trying to text her and tell her what she needs to be doing to get that fixed. So,
it's getting kind of hectic.
It's just so frustrating.
Yeah.
Oh, but this is the life of having kids.
Kids and dogs.
Yeah. Every day is an adventure. Well, I think you did a fantastic job with this drawing, Ashley. It's a great, I do agree, it's a great start to season 16.
I'm glad. I was a little bit nervous, when you take some time off. The tension builds. It's been building for weeks. So we've broken the seal. The season has begun.
Well, now that I'm doing 2 live streams a week for members, you're
loose.
I'm loose right now. I'm loose.
Yeah, that's right.
It's pretty normal. But anyway, so let's go ahead and switch over here. All right, guys, I see in the comments a lot of people asking about some of the details that were left out, like the white stripes, the zipper, and so on. Sometimes we leave things out in these drawings because it's a short time frame. So, and I think it's important for you guys to recognize too, especially if you're new to drawing and painting, that you really do need some time to create finished pieces of artwork. And 45 minutes isn't enough to get a sketch on paper. It's enough time to put a sketch on paper, but it's really not enough time to create a finished piece of artwork. So that's why we do the live lessons for members, which are definitely finished pieces of artwork that go over our lessons are several lessons long.
Tell our audience how long you've been working on your current live lesson artwork.
Right, I mentioned that during the broadcast, but I'll mention it again.
Okay.
I have spent at least 25 to 30 hours on the drawing that I'm doing now, and I've probably covered half the paper. So maybe may approach 50 to 60 hours on that drawing. And, it's not a small drawing, but it's not a ridiculously large drawing. I mean, it's a large drawing for pen and ink, but it's not
medium.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, it's just the nature of creating art. And sometimes when people realize that they need to slow down and they give themselves the time they need to really devote to a piece of artwork, they're shocked at how well they do.
In a sketch, you've got to make some choices. What's important? What do you want to capture? And of course, this is 45 minutes. Your sketches could be 15 minutes or it can be an hour and a half. But for a piece like this, I was wanting to capture the light, so, and a little bit of the form out of there. So somebody mentioned a zipper. I didn't even see a zipper. I'm sure it's in there, but I wasn't looking for a tiny detail like that. I was worried too much about the contrast in colors being strong enough, in their value, to try to create a little sense of roundness. So if we had more time, eventually that zipper would have bubbled to the surface and seemed like a player, seemed like it was important. But it wasn't as important as the color in the light in the time that we have. So you just, when you're making a sketch, you got to ask yourself, what are you after? What's the characteristic that you want to get down on paper with the time that you plan to devote for that piece of art?
Yeah, and Terry in the comments right now, Terry is a member, and Terry worked ahead on this project and also worked on a larger surface. She did hers even larger than mine. And she worked ahead and got hers finished, and she just put in the comments, I finished my ink drawing with 80 hours spent on it. Totally worth the effort. So yeah, these amounts of time are huge amounts of time for a single piece of artwork, but it's not unheard of. You just kind of have to be prepared to work slowly and take your time, and you'll be surprised at the results that you get when you do that. So I'm going to get ready to probably cover 2 square inches of my drawing tonight because we're working in really fine detail and working slowly. So that means we're going to have to sign out here tonight because I've got to get things set up and ready to go. So Ashley, do you have anything else for the folks?
It's been a little bit of a hiatus, so I'm glad to be back, and I'll be anxious to man the chat next week. I hope we can type in English next week, because Matt did a wonderful job interpreting your hieroglyphics, and I don't know if I could have done that. So bring your comments and questions next week, and I'll read whatever you put down in whatever spelling or language you want.
Well, it's the people in the chat box tonight that were creative with the way that they wrote things out, because I could read it. So I think that is really fantastic. And even though the chat box was a little bit of a bummer, we made it into something fun. So, that's a pretty good thing. So we're going to go ahead and sign out for this show. Next week, I'll be doing the drawing. In my mind right now, I'm going to be using pen and ink and markers. So we'll see if that changes or if I even change my reference photo between now and next week. But if you're watching the recorded version of this, let us know what you'd like to see in the comments below. Let us see what mediums that you'd like to see us do in 45 minutes. Keep in mind that we can't do an oil painting in 45 minutes. But we'll take in what you guys suggest and we'll consider it. So have a great week, guys. And don't forget, if you're not a member yet, check out the membership program below. It's super cheap for what you get. And also get on our mailing list. There's a link for that below as well when you sign up for the free course videos and ebooks. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.